So here we understood how the evolution takes place and how to study the evolution. Now let us see the evolution. It takes place in stages. It is not a single step process. The drastic changes are not seen in just single generation. See, how can complex changes takes place with a single variation? For example, there is a species called X. There is a species called Y. So this species is evolved into X, evolved into Y. In X, there are no eyes. Eyes are not there. But in Y, eyes are there. This feature is found. But eye is a very complex organ. How can it can form with a single change in the DNA of this X? So the DNA of X is variated. Some variation happened in the DNA of X. But how can one single change in the gene, how can it bring such a big change in its body? No eyes, eye. Eye is not a small factor. Very big complex organ. So do you think that such kind of drastic changes will come in a very single step, in a very single generation with a single change in the gene? No. It happens so gradually. So the development of organs or systems, they have evolved gradually. We can understand this. You can see the number of, you can see that different species. You see the fishes, you see the reptiles, birds, mammals. All these four have heart to pump the blood. Fish is having heart, reptiles are having heart, birds are having heart, humans are having heart. But what is the difference? The fish is having a heart made up of two chambers. Reptiles, they have three chambers. Amphibians, they have three chambers. Frog is having three chambered heart. Reptiles, they have three chambered, partly four. So the birds are having partly four chamber. Humans, you can see that completely four chambered heart. So heart is there, but in evolution, the change is gradual or step by step. The evolution takes place in stages. In stages. And one more important thing to be noticed here, there are some variations in the organisms that are used for one purpose in the beginning. Later, they might be used for some other purpose. The feathers in the birds, initially they might be used to insulate their body from the cold weather. Feathers give protection from cold weather. They insulate the bodies. They prevent the escape of temperature from the bodies to the environment. So they provide this kind of insulation. But later when the bird grows up, it may use the feathers as wings to fly. So later it is used for flight. So change is useful for one property becomes useful for another way. That is the example there. So far we are discussing about the evolution of the organisms that became extinct, not existed now. But in the present scenario, have we seen the formation of any different species? That is by bringing changes? Yes. So let us see the evolution of cabbage by artificial selection. So the evolution is a natural process which happens by natural selection and genetic drift. But here there are certain conditions that can be arranged by the farmers to go for artificial selection, selecting a particular character and propagating to the coming up progeny generations. So by that they can go for development of a variety which we can practically see in the wild cabbage. So the wild cabbage is grown. Some farmers, they wanted to have the leaves with very short gaps like a ball. So it led to the formation of a cabbage. So the cabbage is nothing but the leaves which are very close to other. The stem is very much reduced. The leaves are very close to one another and it is a very dwarf plant. The internodal space is very less in cabbage. Leaves are arranged one after the other, covering each other to form a ball called cabbage. And in some cases, some farmers wanted to have some swollen parts like kohlrabi, swollen parts. In other cases, They wanted to develop with the sterile flowers, that is cauliflower. And they wanted to develop with arrested flowers, that is broccoli. Broccoli you can see in purple color or in green in color, appears like a cauliflower. Broccoli is available, cauliflower is available, kohlrabi is available, kale. Here they wanted to grow large leaves, long leaves, that is kale. The kale is different from cabbage, both are similar, but here the arrangement and shape of the leaves is different. Kale is different, cabbage is different. And red cabbage, of course it appears in purple or red color. So that is a red cabbage. In this way, wild cabbage is propagated into different forms by artificial selection. Natural selection happens naturally. Artificial selection is done by the farmers. So this much of variety of these cabbages have come into existence, which we can see in the practical scenario.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.